The unbelievable $400 plus dollars more per month Social Security beneficiaries should be receiving right now, which would translate into nearly $5,000 more on average per year that should be deposited into your bank account. Now, this was originally brought to the light of day a couple of years ago, back in 2024, by the Senior Citizens League. And I also have this information here, which I'm going to pop up on the screen in just a second so you can see and read for yourself exactly what I'm referring to. But this was originally brought up yet again right now in early 2026. And a lot of people are really wondering what is going on, because this is a massive discrepancy. This is a lot of money, and no wonder why seniors, fixed income beneficiaries, retirees, spousal survivors beneficiaries, people with disabilities continue to fall behind in a massive way, and why we are having such a massive financial hardship situation during this year of affordability. And we've got a major issue, which is why I want to bring it to your attention here in this video. We're not talking like $5 a month. We're not talking $50 or $100. We're talking multiple hundreds of dollars per month and thousands of dollars per year. This is life-changing money, and realistically, probably life-saving money for millions and millions of people. This is a major deal. I mean, just think about it for a second. $400 extra per month. That's groceries. That's utilities. That's not having to pick between your medication and food. And when you're talking about nearly $5,000 a year, I mean, come on, that changes everything for somebody. All right, so let's pop this up right here, right now. This is actually just a screenshot. So what I did, I just went on Google and I typed it in. I got this AI summary. It summarizes it really nice here. It's just a screenshot. I just want you to see this. This was introduced. And again, this was originally brought to the light of day back in 2024. Now, that was 2 years ago, obviously, because here we are in 2026, right here, right now, as I film this video. But even though this was a couple of years ago, I want you to see the details on this, because this information is coming up yet again, and we're all scratching our heads, and people are wondering what's going on here. Something is not adding up. We've got a major problem here, and we have this major discrepancy. People are looking at their bank accounts. They're looking at their bills. They're looking at what they're spending at the grocery store, and they're like, wait a minute, something's off here. The numbers just don't work. The math isn't mathing, as the kids say these days, right? All right, so as you could see there in that screenshot that I shared with you, the report shows from basically 2010 to 2024, so a 14-year span of time, when the Senior Citizens League released this information that Social Security benefits increased by 58% because of the COLAs. True, that seems like a huge raise. But during that time as well, prices on goods and services actually went up so much that these beneficiaries, again, Social Security beneficiaries, everybody out there living on benefits, lost 20% of purchasing power during that time. Now, if we extrapolate these numbers out and we add in 2025 and so far 2026, we would actually see that benefits during that time from 2010 until now 2026, benefits have actually increased by just under 63%. But get this, at the same time, that benefits over that 16-year period of time have increased by, again, about 63% roughly. I'm kind of rounding some numbers here a little bit by about 63%. At that same time, people have lost 25.3%. If we factor in 2025 and 2026, beneficiaries have now lost 25.3% of their purchasing power, literally in the last 16 years. What do I mean by that? Let me paint a very clear picture here. I'm not going to paint something, but let me give you a mental visualization we can think about here. If we lost 25.3% of our purchasing power in the last 16 years, what I mean by that is that $100 today is actually worth $70 now compared to what it was. So literally your $100 bill is only worth $70 now. That's it. That's what I mean by a depletion of purchasing power at a pace of 25.3%. We've lost that much in purchasing power. Why? Because cost of goods and services through inflation, most notably during the last call at 6 years or so, as we've seen massive inflation, we are now over $400 more that beneficiaries would need per month. And look, this isn't just some theory or whatever. Like, you feel this stuff every day. You go to the grocery store, you see it. You pay your electric bill, you see it. You fill up your tank, you see it. You go to the doctor, pick up prescriptions. It's right there in your face. This 25.3% loss means every month you're getting less and less for your money. Like, the choices keep getting harder. The sacrifices keep getting bigger. The stress keeps getting worse. It's real. Now, I'm going to be fair with you. In this screenshot that I popped up on the screen for you, in that you clearly saw there, according to this study from the Senior Citizens League, they calculated again as of 2024, 2 years ago when they ran this study, that the average beneficiary would have needed at that time, again, 2 years ago, the average beneficiary would have needed $370 more per month just to be at par with where we're supposed to be, because these benefits have not cut up. By the way, $370 per month multiplied by 12 months, according to the calculations, is $4,142 a year that we would need just to be at par. As in, what I mean by par is equal to where these benefits should have been to keep up with real inflation, real cost of living. And remember, that was 2 years ago. Now we're looking at over $400 per month. So the gap's getting bigger, not smaller. Every year goes by, beneficiaries fall further and further behind. Well, then what's the problem here? I'm confused. Like, why is this happening? Right? Again, a lot of people are wondering, like, what went wrong here? What happened? Why are we seeing this happening here? I mean, how do you get to a point where benefits went up 63%, but people still lost over 25% of their purchasing power? Like, that doesn't even make sense when you first hear it, right? Here's what's happening. It's because of how they calculate the COLA. I've pounded the table on this many, many, many times over the years. And I've said the way that they calculate the COLA is stupid. There's no other way to sue it, say it. I'm sorry, I don't like to use that word in my videos, but that is just an awful way to calculate the way that the COLAs are determined. Here's what they do. And again, I've said this many times before in other videos, but here's what they do. They take the current year third quarter inflation, July, August, and September. They compare it over the inflation from the previous year, third quarter, July, August, and September. And then they, whatever the difference of inflation is the COLA for the following year. Does that make any sense? That does not make any sense whatsoever. Let me give you a real life example. Okay, so here we are still very early on in 2026. Let me give you a real life example. This year in 2026, when we get into the middle of, call it October, that's when they'll be able to see all this data. Okay, so basically they're going to use the inflation data from July, August, and September. That's the third quarter of the year. When we get there in 2026, we'll have all that data. They're going to take the inflation data from this year, 2026, July, August, and September. They're going to take that compared to the inflation over the same rate or the same time frame of last year, July, August, and September of 2025. The difference of inflation will then be the COLA raise for 2027. Does that make any sense whatsoever? That makes no freaking sense whatsoever, right? And I could replace fricking with another really nasty word, but I'm not going to. But I really want to, because that's how extreme this really is, right? You get my point behind this. This is extreme because it's literally robbing Social Security beneficiaries. Because every year when they have these terrible calculations like this, and they have this terrible way to calculate how the COLA is calculated, obviously it's not a true reflection of price increases. Think about it like this. Say inflation was through the roof in 2025, right? But then in 2026, it comes down a bit. Well, prices are still crazy high, but you're not getting a COLA based on those high prices. You're getting a COLA based on the change in inflation. So even though everything still costs way more than it did a few years ago, if inflation slowed down, your COLA is going to be tiny. You see what I'm saying? It's not looking at actual prices. It's looking at the rate of change. And that's huge. That difference right there is costing people hundreds of dollars every month. Not only that, they're using the data released by this BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, or as I like to call it a lot of times, the Bureau of Lies and Statistics, or just plainly the BS department, right? Because that's about what it is. It's so heavily manipulated. When we get this inflation data, do we really believe that that's actually a true reflection of cost price increases on goods and services? And again, especially when it comes down to Social Security beneficiaries, what do fixed income beneficiaries spend the bulk of their money on? We know we just talked about it the other day, shelter, as in housing, food, utilities, transportation, and medical. That's where the vast majority of our spending comes in as fixed income beneficiaries. So therefore, is that being tracked accurately with all these inflation data points? Not really, right? It's being aggregated. It's being lumped together. It's being pulled together. Therefore, we're not getting a true representation of where fixed income beneficiaries spend the bulk of their money. Like the CPI they use, it's tracking stuff like electronics and clothes and all this other stuff that maybe seniors aren't buying as much. But healthcare going up like crazy, prescriptions skyrocketing, housing, rent, property taxes, home insurance through the roof, food. I mean, have you been to the grocery store? It's nuts what stuff costs now compared to just a couple of years back. Now, some people would argue, oh, well, we need to change it to the CPIE, the Consumer Price Index for the elderly. That's a terrible measure as well. It's still using the exact same thing, third quarter data over the previous year, and then that's the COLA for the following year. Still doesn't make any sense, right? So anyway, we've got a major flawed issue here. And again, every single year that goes by, this financial hardship situation, this affordability crisis, whatever you want to call it, that's happening, is literally just getting worse and worse. It's extrapolating more and more every year. It's intensifying because these dollar amounts that beneficiaries are actually supposed to be receiving just gets more and more. For example, just in the last 2 years alone, again, now we're over $400 plus dollars that the average beneficiary would need as a raise on a monthly basis to their benefit. Nearly $5,000 a year more than what we're currently getting just to be at par, not even keeping it staying ahead. Literally par with where we're supposed to be. That's nasty, right? And this gap, it's not staying put either. It's growing. Every year goes by with these weak COLA calculations. The gap gets bigger. It compounds on itself. It builds and builds. And pretty soon you're looking at people who are short $400 every single month. That's not right. Now, I've said this before. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Like, I'm really not, okay? But it makes me think a little bit is maybe a little of this bit, a little bit of this on purpose, simply because they know, again, they being, the collective, do they know that this whole insolvency issue is only like 6 to 7 years away? And again, they've known that this is coming for a very long time, but they've known for the last 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years that this insolvency issue would be coming sometime in the early 30, as in 2030s, right? So like in 6, 7 years or so, something like that. But my point being is this may be a little bit on purpose because they know if we actually give beneficiaries what they're supposed to be getting, we're going to drain the trust fund no time flat. That's true. They really would have, like the insolvency issue probably already would have happened if they actually would have been paying beneficiaries what they're actually due. Just think of it this way. I mean, I did not run the math. Let me run some real fast mental math here for a second. $5,000 a person. Call it, just for conservative purposes, let's just call it 60 million people at $5,000 more per year. Okay, again, I think my math is correct on this. 60 million people multiplied by 5,000, what would that be? 300 billion. Check my math on that. I think that's right. 300 billion more. Get this. Social Security currently pays out about $1.5 plus trillion in benefits to beneficiaries. They have about $2,072 trillion in the trust fund as we speak, according to the most recent Social Security Board of Trustees annual report. Point being is that if we were sucking out an extra $300 billion out of the trust fund per year, the trust fund would be gone. Like, it would be empty a long time ago. So it makes me wonder, do they know? And this was all along the plan so that they wouldn't drain the Social Security Trust Fund sooner than basically the early 2030s, if that makes sense, right? They're trying to push that out. And by doing that, they're basically scraping a little bit off the checks every single year for beneficiaries. And over time, guess what happens? Time and compounding. As Einstein said, I don't know if he really said it, just what I heard. I wasn't around when Einstein was here. Whenever he lived, I'm not even sure. It was a long time ago, but apparently Einstein said that compounding is the eighth wonder of the world, and I agree with him. Time and compounding is amazing, right? It's really, really good. It works great when it works, and it works really bad when it works against a person, right? And that's exactly what we're seeing here is compounding working in reverse against beneficiaries, time, and basically the lackluster COLAs. Therefore, over the course of time, we're talking $400+ a month. $5,000 or nearly $5,000 a year is how much more beneficiaries should be getting. Like every year, this flawed system keeps running, people fall a little more behind. And after 16 years, boom, 25.3% loss in purchasing power. That's compounding working against you. That's time screwing you over when the system's broken. And we're talking millions and millions of people struggling, making impossible choices, stressing out constantly. I don't know. Drop your comments down below. I could keep going on about this. I find this to be very interesting. Makes me want to whip out my investigator hat and my little magnifying glass, or maybe a Monley, maybe a set of binoculars, and look around, because something seems very weird here and something seems very suspicious, right? All right. Anyway, drop your comments down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Otherwise, if you're new, please consider subscribing. I'm here for you every single day, and share the video. Otherwise, check out the other 6,000 plus videos here on the channel in the video library. Enjoy your day. Take care. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on this. Have a good one.